Very soon we'll be able to do things with technology that we could only dream about, only seen in movies while we were growing up. The natural question on my mind, however, is why and how? Well, to help answer that, in this video I'm going to introduce you to a woman by the name of Catherine Austin Fitts. She has some groundbreaking views on just as to what is going on right now. Stay tuned.
So what is happening, I just published a huge study called The State of Our Currencies. And what I describe is the fact that for many decades, the dollar has been the reserve currency. And the system is what I would describe as long in the tooth. And the central bankers are trying to bring in a new system, but it's not ready to go yet. And we're in a period of great change and uncertainty where the central bankers are trying to keep the dollar system going and accelerate. So they're trying to lengthen the dollar system, and then they're trying to accelerate bringing in the new system. And they have to bring in the new system without anybody quite realizing exactly what it is. Global reserve currency system, the dollar, and it needs to evolve and change, and it's long in the tooth. There's lots of unhappiness with the system. And the central bankers are trying to bring a new system. And to do it, they're trying to extend the old and accelerate the new. And it makes it a very chaotic thing, since much of the new is being tested and tried and prototyped, and it involves many different industries. So I describe the new system as the end of currencies. So we're not bringing in a new currency. We're essentially bringing in a new transaction system that will be all digital and essentially end currencies as we know them. So what they're trying to do involves essentially all the money on the planet. So it's big, it's complicated, it's messy, and the challenge they have is, how do you market a system that if people understood it, nobody would want?
What is the actual effect of the lockdown measures?
So what you're doing is you're trying to, I used to call the Patriot Act the Concentration and Control of Cash Flow Act. And this is a very similar process. You're trying to dramatically centralize economic and political control. So let me give you an example. We have 100 small businesses on Main Street in a community. You declare them non-essential, shut them down. Suddenly Amazon and Walmart and the big box stores can come in and take away all the market share. In the meantime, the people on Main Street have to keep paying off their credit cards or their mortgage. So they're in a debt entrapment. And they're desperate to get cash flow to cover basically their debts and their day-to-day expenses. In the meantime, you have the Federal Reserve institute a form of quantitative easing where they're buying corporate bonds, and the guys who are taking up the market share can basically finance at 0 to 1%, or their banks can at 0 to 1%, when everybody in Main Street is paying 16 to 70% of their credit cards without income. So this is an economic war, and you've basically had sort of the top 1%. So since April, we've seen global billionaires increase their net worth by 27%. Now, what that says is this has been a very successful global economic war, because what you're having is this sort of global capitalist class, and I shouldn't call it capitalism because it's not. It's much more it's economic totalitarianism. What you've seen is they've been able to consolidate fantastic amounts of economic wealth, not just by deleting the income of the middle class and consolidating it into their companies, but by significantly improving the wealth and power of the largest G7 developed countries and China vis-a-vis the emerging markets. So, the countries with the most advanced technology and the access to AI and software and to the sort of digital systems, including through space, are dramatically consolidating economic power vis-a-vis the weaker nations. So we're seeing a consolidation of economic power, centralization, both into the wealthier and the more powerful nations, and the basically top 1% who control them. So I would describe what COVID-19 is the institution of controls necessary to convert the planet from democratic process to technocracy. So what we're watching is a change in control and an engineering of new control systems. So think of this as a coup d'etat. It's much more like a coup d'etat than a virus. For 20 some years in the United States, we've had a financial coup d'etat. And we knew at the end of 1995, a decision was made to move much of the assets and money out of the country. That was part of sort of bubbling the global economy with globalization. And they knew that once they'd finished moving all those assets, that they would have to consolidate and change the fundamental system. So after the financial coup, you've stolen all the money in the pension funds, you've stolen all the money in the government, and now rather than turn and tell people, well, we stole your money, you need an excuse that will allow you to consolidate and change the fundamental system. And so you have a magic virus. And the magic virus is, we have to fundamentally change the system. And, thanks to the magic virus, there's no money in Social Security. Thanks to the magic virus, there's no money in the Treasury. And you have your perfect magic excuse.
What do you think the technocracy that we're being pushed towards will look like?
You're basically talking about being able to digitally identify and track people in connection with their financial transactions. So it's a world of zero privacy. But more importantly, what's important to understand is if you then institute one or more central bank cryptos, you're now talking about a system where every central bank in the world can shut you off individually from transacting if they don't like the way you're behaving. So many people are familiar with the social credit system in China. It's very similar. You're basically, if you install the smart grid in their car, their community, and now literally in their body, you've got 24/7 surveillance. And if people don't do what you say and behave the way you want, they can and will shut off your money. So and they'll also have spatial control. If they say you can't travel more than 5 miles, that's it. Because you're in a complete digital control system. We're digitizing everything, but it includes the human body as well and the human mind. So this system comes with complete control not only of your ability to transact financially, which is hooked up to your body, but very sophisticated mind control technology through the media and those cloud connections. So basically, you're talking about hooking up into the Borg, if you will. And so transhumanism and technocracy go hand in hand now. So if you look at what's going on, we have the tech people building the clouds and the telecommunications. We have the military doing space and Operation Warp Speed. So they're putting up the satellites, okay? Then we have Big Pharma, which is making the injections that are full of these mystery ingredients and modify your DNA, and for all we know, make you infertile. And then we have the media pouring out the propaganda. And then we have the central bankers engineering to the crypto, the central bank crypto systems. So you have these different pillars, and it's very important when you look at what's going on day to day, particularly in the media, they're trying to keep them separate so that you can't see how they're going to come together in an integrated system, which is basically integrated into your body and your mind. So the IMF just had a panel on cross-border payments with Jay Powell, Carstens from the Bank of International Settlements, and the head of the IMF. And Carsten said this very clearly. He really let the cat out of the bag. He said he was talking with Powell, and he explained that if a central banker wanted to, they could stop a non-citizen from transacting in the system. Now, what that means is they can stop anybody from transacting in the system. So in essence, in an all digital, no cash system run by the central banks, you've got a credit on the company store, and your individual money can be turned on and off or changed in value. They have complete control. It's not a currency as I would define it. It's a credit on the company store, and your money can be turned on and off according to a social credit system or a political system, or, you name it.
So if you misbehave, you're they can starve you to death.
Right. And I would describe it as an end of all human sovereignty. It's not a currency system, it's a control system. And it's a complete control system. Now, if you read State of Our Currencies, I describe it's going to take probably 2 to 5 years to get to where they want to go. And it could even take longer. And part of the difficulty is you have so much of the economy now that's covert or secret. If you're Jay Powell and you've got $2 trillion of float in dollar bills around the planet that are being used for all sorts of stuff, including covert thing, the idea of moving all those players onto a blockchain where you have total control and transparency, I think, there's going to be a lot of pushback. And I don't just mean pushback from citizens, I mean pushback from all sorts of characters. So what they're trying to do is very, very difficult. And I don't, to me, one of the problems is you're talking about the central bankers literally going into the invention room to figure out how the new system's going to work. And part of the crisis is to give them the powers they need to accelerate it.